Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are Bad Moms in Business, the podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us. I don't know if you guys recognize him or not, but this is Benny Capaul. He is our local funeral home director, and we are not going to talk about something super serious this week. We're going to talk about, well, kind of serious, but like in a lighthearted way. We're going to talk about funeral songs that we would want played at our own funerals.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
So well documented. So Marcus and Owen, if I've croaked, here you go. Here's the list.
Right?
I love you more than life itself.
Here's one less thing you have to worry about.
That's right.
Right.
You're welcome.
And yeah, that's kind of the point, right? I actually had Brandon's help on picking these because it's kind of hard to pick for yourself. It was weird. I don't know. It was weird to kind of switch my brain into that kind of gear.
That's why I think this episode's important. I think it's really good to have this kind of dialogue, get people thinking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, ladies, for having me on again. I'm very proud to, I think, be the only male guest other than your hubbies.
Yes,
That's correct.
So,
it's true.
and you kind of had to have them on. So
Yeah.
That's part of the
this is a
contract.
choice.
We negotiated that as part of the contract.
All right. So let's talk about death playlists. So in my line of work, especially for a lot of funeral services, memorial services, gatherings, celebration of life, et cetera, et cetera. Nowadays, the old school was you just play gospel music or elevator music. And now with people having, especially we have Spotify literally at our fingertips and we can hook into Bluetooth. People want to pick their own stuff, which can be very interesting, especially in a very conservative town, especially if there is explicit lyrics in it.
Whoops.
Or if they choose a very lengthy song that's like 7 to 8 minutes long, as we all know.
Stairway to Heaven.
Nope. I literally looked that one up to see how long it was. It's 9 minutes long.
Yeah.
It is. And there's some ones you're like, oh gosh, I guess I can like go in the back and get a couple things done and then come back up. But yeah, let's talk about the playlist. It's so interesting because it's kind of a twofold thing. Something that people don't realize too, especially when they make the like the photo collage videos and stuff, and they put music into it. It's a great thing to have great songs, but sometimes it's not the best to pick your favorite songs because it's a memory every time you hear that song. And for some people, they love that. They love reliving that funeral experience or having that person pop back up. But for others, it's very triggering and it can be very, very detrimental to that song. And I've seen it both ways. Me personally, I find music is my life. So even if it was a song that triggers, I'd eventually have to get over it because I just love music too much. But I can understand, especially if it was a very tragic death, that a song could really, like I said, trigger you. So what I always suggest is pick good songs, but not your favorite, because that could cause some issues down the line. And that's another thing you all brought up was most of the time it's not you who pick your own playlist, right? It's your kids or your hubby or your spouse or your parents. And that may not really represent you. So I think today, more than ever, we realize how important it is to kind of get a couple things down because I'm just going to be honest with you. All 4 of our faces right now, we're all going to die someday. And the quicker we can kind of realize that, the more we can live our lives and not be afraid of it. Right. So these little things, they seem so little, right? They seem so petty, but to be honest, these things will make the lives of your family members so much easier if you can come up with them. So playlists, let's talk about it. So are we talking about the visitation itself or are we talking about the service? Where are we going, ladies?
I feel like mine are fitting for either. Probably not the service, actually.
Yeah, I feel like mine's visitation.
Visitation.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this is another thing to think of too. If you're going to do a visitation, make sure you pick plenty of songs because a lot of times families will pick 3 and then after
play them on loop for 8
hours of hearing the same 3 songs. it might be triggering just because you hate those songs after that.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? If you're literally listening to those songs over and over again. What would you play? Like, what kind of playlist would you play for Visitation? Let's say the standard, the 6 hours. What kind of music would you play?
You know what just popped into my head is maybe something like, Pentatonics, how they just do like the orchestral. Is that how you say that? Orchestral? Probably not. Version of popular.
I don't think so.
Sounds very wrong.
Are you talking about you're
orchestra?
You're talking about they use their voices to do the whole song, right? They do.
No. I think it's all just string music, right? Maybe I'm thinking of a different band. It's already gone off the rails.
We're all we're like a doo-wop. They did everything with their.
Okay, there's another band. It's called something something something.
Okay, that's definitely not Pentatonics.
Write that down.
3 different names to it, Bridgette.
Well, in my head it was Pentatonics, and then when you reminded me that it wasn't, I'm like, you're right. It's something else, something string quartet.
Yeah, because the Pentatonics are like barbershop, if I'm not mistaken.
Danielle, you know who I'm talking about.
It's right there. I'm getting there.
Hang on, we're gonna Google it.
Okay.
Alice,
while that's going on, Amanda, what would you have at your Visitation?
So my first song,
and
I just love this song, is Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but not by like Judy Garland. The guy that I can never say his name.
Oh, yes.
From
the Hawaiian guy.
Yes, Israel. In his very long last name that I don't want to be disrespectful to.
He's got that awesome ukulele.
Ukulele version. It is so
interesting.
Beautiful.
That's a great song.
It is. I would choose that song, but I choose the Me First and the Gimme Gimme style, which is the punk rock version of it.
I've heard, believe it or not.
Awesome.
It's just very, because when I pass away, when I croak, I just want it to be like, I'll be at peace, right? Like I want everything to be peaceful, like just like everyone be at peace that I'm no longer here.
That's awesome.
That's a great one.
That is a great one.
Thanks. You guys might enjoy it if you come to my funeral.
There we go.
Are we invited? It sounds like we need an invitation. I don't know.
No, like
if
it's
you
a very private affair, Bridgette.
Listen, I have to say, like, if I'm dead, I can't guarantee there's actually going to be a funeral. Is all I'm saying.
True.
It's true.
I just let the record show it's Vitamin String Quartet is who I was thinking of.
Not where I was going with that.
Sounds just like Pentatonic.
They do like string music, so like popular songs. So for the Visitation, maybe just a bunch of that.
Okay.
And that word
makes sense.
That's all I was saying.
So like instrumental.
There you go. Instrumental.
Very instrumental.
That was so much. That was so. Wow, that was a lot of work for just instrumental.
Yeah, instrumental.
Got it. Thank you, Bridgette, for making us go on that wild goose chase there for a little bit.
That's what you can count on from me. Yeah. Yep.
All right, Daniel, up to you. Where are you at with your? Are you talking about a Visitation, or are you talking about your actual service?
So I only have 3 songs.
Okay.
But I can come up with more if needed.
Okay, so probably your service is what you're talking about then.
I guess, but like I don't know. It just doesn't. I don't know. Because it just depends on the kind of service that I have.
Knocking on heaven's door.
Yeah, I want to see if that one's on there.
So Freebird is my first one.
Good song.
Mm-hmm.
You would pick that one.
Of course I would, right? That's a great song. It's a good one.
It's also like 12 minutes long.
It is a very long song. And it gets kind of crazy at the end. And I understand it. And like, that's okay. Brandon did not want me to put this on the list because it reminds him of Forrest Gump. Doesn't remind me of Forrest Gump. Reminds me of The Devil's Rejects by Rob Zombie. So I'm okay with that.
Put those together, very appropriate for a funeral.
As a musician playing in a lot of shows, do you realize that's the song that people always ask bands to play as a joke? Yeah.
What?
So if you go to like a local show, you'll hear somebody in the background scream, "Play Freebird!"
Yeah.
Well,
That's the ongoing joke.
I would never ask somebody for that. There's so many songs I would pick.
That's quite a request.
But I think it's just an ongoing joke. Like it's not necessarily
because it's just like
because it's so ridiculous.
Long. Yeah. It's just okay. So what other classic hits do you got on there that are 12 minutes long?
Oh, me? Are we just gonna blow through mine?
Rock and roll.
Cemetery Gates by Pantera.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
It's a Pantera song. Also, not a super short song, but such a good one. It's so good. I love it so much. And then my last one would be Fade to Black by Metallica. So I understand that like the funeral is not for the person who has died. It's for the family, but also like, this is my music. This is what I like. So sorry.
Well, I think it's part of like remembering you, taking that opportunity to remind people of who you were and your legacy. So I don't think it's bad if the music was your style.
Yeah.
No, especially because when you play those songs, because so many people will bring like Elvis, right? They'll bring mom's CD of Elvis.
Yep.
And to them, it brings them back to walking through the kitchen.
Did you look at my list?
What?
What's that? What'd you say? I didn't catch that.
Oh, did you look at my list?
No, Elvis is the best. Elvis Aaron. But no, like it just reminds you of like the kitchen when you would walk by and mom would be making you bread. So as much as it isn't, it is though, because it brings back a lot of memories, and really what a legacy that we leave is our memories of that we have. So Amanda, go down to you again. What other songs do you have?
So I have What a Wonderful World, because I just really like that song too. And then my last song is My Way by Elvis Presley, though.
Oh, interesting.
You don't like the Sinatra version of
it? I just really love Elvis Presley, love Elvis Presley. So I really like Frank Sinatra, but there's definitely Elvis is above that. So his version just hits me in the feels a little bit better.
Interesting.
All right.
It's a good one.
What about you, Bridgette? Other than your pentatonics?
Instrumental.
My pentatonics.
Oops.
Okay. One of them would be Angels Lead You In by Jimmy Eat World. And I know
that's actually called Hear You Me. It's actually
Hear You Me. Yeah. Whatever. It's one of my favorite songs ever. And I know the history behind it is more about suicide than it is about just death, but I still love it so much. I love it. So that's on my list. There's a Christian song called Well Done by the Afters that I
nope, I got nothing there. I'll have to look that one up.
It's so good. So that's on my list. And then lastly, Toxic by Britney Spears.
Of course.
Interesting. Didn't
are you kidding me?
I know I've heard this song before. I just don't know it.
Oh, do you want me to sing it?
I would like you serenade.
Baby, can't you see?
Get it, girl. And she's on a dirt bike, or not a dirt bike, but
no, she's in an airplane. She's a flight attendant.
She is. She's an awesome red spandex outfit too in the video, if I remember right.
Got nothing. Huh. Interesting.
If memory recalls.
If memory serves.
Bridgette, that's a great couple songs. First of all, Hear You Me was on my list. Jimmy Eat World is incredible. They also wrote a song called Drugs Are Me, and it's kind of that same kind of feel, but I wouldn't use it for my, but Dr. Nick loves the song, and he always says it for when we talk about death playlist, and that's Only the Good Die Young by William Joel. If you know, good old Billy.
Good old Billy.
Amazing song. Because I am Catholic and I want to have a Catholic funeral, I can't pick a lot of those songs for the actual funeral, but because I have musicians as my best friends and brothers and et cetera, I'm putting a lot on their shoulders to actually play acoustic guitar, all of the Catholic songs.
Wow.
So I would have them, if I could have my way, have them do all of Amazing Grace and On Eagle's Wings. That's one of my favorite.
That's a great one.
Here I Am, Lord. Those are all Catholic songs. But yeah, for the visitation, just playlist, just great stuff. You know, make people laugh, bring back old times. Play some Blink-182. Everybody knows Blink-182. Everybody will laugh. Everybody will have a good time. Maybe some Green Day, maybe some Alkaline Trio, maybe some Motion City Soundtrack.
My Chemical Romance.
I was just gonna say, because you said Cemetery
Drive is My Chemical Romance.
Cemetery Drive by MCR. Incredible. Welcome to Black Parade, just an incredible album about death in general.
It's so good. Oh, maybe Helena could be on my playlist.
There you go. And you have like the casket, and you do the music video with the umbrellas, and they're like dancing with the umbrellas.
And then I will jump out of the casket and do the whole thing. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Perfect. Yeah, you're not really dead, right? Well, Amanda and me were talking about it, that there's things called living funerals now. So you could be part of that. You could do a living funeral, Bridgette, where you come out of the casket, you do a little bit of stand up, and then you sit down and everybody says their eulogies, and you go on your way.
So one of the podcasts that I listen to,
so many stories start with that. I love it.
I know. One of the podcasts, Ross Matthews, he did a living birthday funeral, and he made everyone write eulogies and deliver them on the podcast for his birthday episode. And I thought it was so good. Like, what an amazing idea, because you don't tell people in real life as much as you should how much you love and appreciate them.
That's true.
100%. 100%. The only problem that I have with living funerals, and Dr. Nick and I talk about this, is it just one more step away from not actually talking about death. Right? Because that's the honest. And are they going to say the same thing in a living funeral that they are going to say in your actual funeral? Probably not.
No.
And not only that, but are the same people going to come to your living funeral that would or would not come to your actual funeral?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, because, the biggest problem that I have with today, and I was telling Amanda this, we had a good conversation the other day about this. We have gone from a community-based society to an individual-based society. What is good for me? What is my self-gratitude? And as much as I love a living funeral, because I think it is amazing, because you get to actually experience your own funeral, which I think is great. I really do. The problem that I have with it is, yet again, is it just one more way we can be like, okay, the death actually occurs. Let's not deal with that. You know what I mean? We already dealt with him living. That was a blast. Let's just kind of forget about death. The problem with forgetting about death is you really can't. And grief will hit you even harder if you don't go through the grieving process. And that's the only worry that I have with living funerals. I think they're amazing. I think they're wonderful, but I still think you should still have a regular funeral. You know?
Oh yeah, I want both. There
you go. Well, there you go. You answered my question. Perfect.
You better tell me how much you like me now, and then when I'm dead, you better cry, like sob over my casket. That's all I'm asking.
Let me take notes. Anything else?
That's it. That's all I'm asking.
I think the playlist is amazing because I think it really describes the person you were. And I love it because I've had people ask me, like, what if I want to play like Slipknot? What if I want to play something that's going to really like destroy Ida, because that's where I come from. And my honest opinion is that that's what you want. That's great. Because let's be honest, if your favorite band was Slipknot, your family would know your favorite band was Slipknot.
Absolutely.
So, I did do a funeral where it was all rap, and rap is not my thing other than Death Row. Death Row is the only good rap ever. All the rest of the new rap is clicks and whistles. That's how I feel about it. But, they played a lot of rap, and it was very, very raunchy, to say the least. But, for that person, that was what they like to listen to.
Right.
Yeah. I went to a wedding once where they played DMX as we walked out.
Yeah. What's my name?
Interesting.
No.
My
name. No. Oh man, I don't know. Why wouldn't you play Limp Bizkit at that point? You know what I mean? Just
right.
Straight up rolling. Keep rolling.
Rolling. Yeah. Listen, there's so many.
I will say this. So I had my father's funeral at the Capaul Funeral Home, and I had a playlist set up, but I didn't have as many songs on there as I probably should have. And a lot of the songs that I did pick were like mine and his like favorite songs together. And then some ones that just sort of like hit close to home as to like why he died and stuff like that. But I will say that those songs are pretty much completely ruined for me for life.
Well, Danielle, in fairness to your situation, and I know, you have talked about it on a couple of your podcasts. You weren't ready for it. You were not prepared for it. So in fairness, and it's not something you actually talked to your father about, what kind of songs to play.
Nope.
I think you did a wonderful job. And to be honest, as a professional, I was proud to be your friend because you took it so well. And I know that's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know if I could I've gone through half of, and I'm a funeral director. I've been around death my whole life,
Mhm.
and it hurt my soul when I got the call about your dad. So
Yeah.
I think about that funeral a lot because, you know, when I first started, it was, you know, and it was elderly people most of the time, people that, you know, I knew in the community, but they were, you know, 70, 80, 90 years old. And they would always know dad, like everybody would come in and want to talk to dad. Now it's getting to the point where they want to talk to me more, or they want to ask my opinion on things, you know, and it's weird being the pinnacle.
Yeah. The go-to guy.
Well,
you know, where it was, I could hide behind dad, you know, like, oh, he's a funeral director, but you know, he's Dave's son, you know, that's, you know, but when it was your father, it's like, no, you know, I gotta step up and do that. And it was tough. It was really, really hard, but I'm going to be honest. This is not about, I really thought you held yourself so well for that situation. And when you said those songs hurt, I was like, oh man, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Because it is tough. And a lot of, like I said, I hear it more about the photo collages, because a lot of families will get the photo collages and then never watch it again because it's too disturbing.
For sure.
You know, in the time, they're like, oh, this would be awesome to rewatch and watch with the grandkids and all that, and they literally can't.
Nope. Yeah.
You know, and those songs they just destroyed because of that. I don't know. And there's no right or wrong. That's the one thing, and I think we talked about this last podcast. There's no right or wrong to grieve for death. Right. It is what it is. And for Danielle, it might be detrimental, those songs, or also they might be like, I want to listen to them, but I gotta be alone because it's just gonna be
that does happen sometimes.
Tears.
That does happen.
We all need those kind of moments. And you know what's sad, Danielle, is why do we even have to like be apologetic about that, right?
That's
you
true.
should just own those tears. You should go out and be like, but that song.
It's true.
Daddy, you know?
Then I have to show emotion in front of people, and I just don't like doing that.
It's so but why? But why? You know, Doc, Nick, and I talk about this. And I'm the same way, Daniel. I have a problem. I haven't had a good cry in a long time.
I don't enjoy it.
And I think a lot of it has to do with just growing up and being told, you know, you are the director. You got to direct these people, and you got to be the one that's the rock, right?
Yeah.
But then as I get older, I'm realizing like, what am I hiding? You know, if I started crying in front of a family, I think if anything, it's going to be more humanistic, right? Like,
it's true.
He's a human. Okay. Yeah. No, obviously, like I still got to get them from point A to point Z, but
of course,
you know, if I got to take a minute here. This is a lot. And it's tough to hear what, you know, people that have been married for 70 years whisper to each other in passing. And sometimes it's goofy. Sometimes it's anger, which is interesting. People don't know, like they don't realize that comes out, and they get it off their chest, and then they're happy. You know, death is it's beautiful. It absolutely is beautiful. Daniel, when you said those songs, you were crying about those songs. I was thinking, you know what? That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful that you can remember your dad in the songs. Yeah. And as much as you probably don't want to admit it, they're amazing, and you wouldn't have it any other way. And if you needed to think about your dad, you'd put on one of those songs and put your gothic makeup on and rock and roll, you know.
You know me way too well.
You talked about your experience with your dad, right? So I'm sure if you hear a song that he really liked, or he always had on in the truck, you know, I have no idea if your dad had a truck, but it just seems like he was a truck kind of guy, was he?
He had a truck.
Okay, I'm just guessing. I'm not
no, you know what? It's true. And so much of my musical taste, none of that was showcased here, but so much of my musical taste comes from my dad, like Pearl Jam and Queen and Van Halen and like all of those. Yeah. So yeah, anytime I hear songs by any of the people that I just mentioned, I'm like, oh,
gets you right in the feels.
Yeah.
You know, they always say like scent is the biggest memory, like, right? But I don't know. Some songs are even rougher to me.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandfather did have a special cologne, so anytime I smell that, I'm like, oh God, like there is. I don't have a good whiffer. That's my problem. God didn't gift me with a good whiffer, so never had that problem with smell. But man, some songs, like even for no reason, right? You'll be in a car, you'll listen to some song, Bop comes on, you're just in tears, and you're like, why am I in tears listening?
Because your sixth grade boyfriend broke up with you at the dance while Bop was playing.
Great Hanson. Why did none of you say Hanson? We need some more bebop in these death playlists.
Bridgette is
sassy.
really salty about that. She with such conviction, Bridgette, such conviction. That's why she says.
Oh my.
Well, Benny, thank you for walking us through the death playlist. This has been super fun and enlightening, and none of your selections surprise me whatsoever.
Except for your
I
pentatonics.
really wish somebody said mbop, but if I could just clearly state this for the listeners, if you haven't thought about it, I would challenge you to pull out a pen and paper and write down 3 to 5 songs that you'd really want at your funeral or your memorial gathering, or just your family surrounding you before you die. You know, to listen
how
to.
peaceful that. Oh, I love that idea.
You would
be shocked at what feelings and what conversations you may or may not get started with your family. And just a little tidbit there.
Interesting.
That's good. Well, Benny, we have a part 2 with you coming up in 2 weeks, and we are super excited about that. So if you loved this episode and loved everything that Benny brought to it, just wait for 2 more weeks because we're going to have even more for you. But for today, we're going to sign off. And thanks for listening. Thanks for rocking with us. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.